Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I want to give a big shout out to all of my new subscribers. Thank you so much, your support means everything to me. And today I want to talk about Aries, as we are now approaching the season of Aries. We will shift into Aries season once it gets to March the 20th. And yeah, as you can see, I have my horned god statues right here. And that's because, for me, the sign of Aries is very much linked with the horned god, equinox, Pan, Hern, those kind of gods. Because basically, Aries is symbolised by the ram, and obviously the ram is a horned sheep, so horned sheep, horned god, it just kind of works. And Aries is actually classed as a masculine sign as well, so it also works for the god energy, I would say. So that's kind of what I want to talk about first of all, is just the horned god and how it links to Aries. I mean, the horned god is all about nature, and just the power of nature, the primal power of nature. And we're seeing nature reawaken at this time. As spring starts to happen, the leaves start to come back, the animals start to come back, and I feel that this is really where the horned god is in his element. So yeah, I like to believe that the Aries energy is interlinked with the horned god, Kunos, Pan energies. I don't know, it just works in my mind, so that's why I'm going to make that link. So in terms of dealing with Aries as a zodiac sign, and really the energies that are around at this time, we have to consider that Aries is a fire sign. Hence all the lovely candles here. But the element of fire really is, it's a force in nature that can be quite scary, but also it can be quite warm and comforting. So it has a bit of a contradiction within itself. It can be a catalyst for change. So when it is scary and it is destructive, really what that means is if everything is working correctly and in the natural order, really what that means is the fire will be burning through old and diseased forest to make way for new plants and new life that can basically grow back better than it ever was before. So although it is scary that it's destructive, it is basically the catalyst for change, and that change is scary, but it brings about positive potential for new beginnings, basically. So yeah, it has that destructive side to it, but also, and this is something that we need to take into account when dealing with any kind of fire sign, be it Aries, Leo or Sagittarius, fire has been also the greatest friend to humanity. If you think about the hearth, the home, cooking food, all of these things, fire has been so necessary for our survival, to keep us warm. So although it can be destructive, that has a positive side, as I said, but it's also just openly positive when fire is contained. When it's contained, we have beautiful candles that are just very pleasing to look at and comforting. We have the stove, and all these things that we really need, and the fireplace and all that cozy kind of stuff. So fire signs might not all be as like rrr as you might think, because I think that there is a very calming and very kind of jolly atmosphere to fire signs, as well as just having a lot of determination and get up and go about them. So speaking of get up and go, Aries is actually, well, basically in the zodiac, each sign belongs to an element, and there are 3 signs that belong to each of the 4 elements. And this is getting confusing now. Of these signs that belong under an element, there are 3 different types. There is cardinal, mutable and fixed. And basically, I'll talk about the other types, mutable and fixed and stuff, in another video, I'm sure, when I cover the other zodiac signs. But basically cardinal, which is what Aries is, means it's the first sign of that element that is pushing forward, basically. So it's the first one that occurs in the wheel of the year. Aries is obviously the very start of the year in a zodiac sense. And so Aries is the first fire sign that really pushes things forward and pushes us into that new year, that new spring and new life. So basically what that means is the energies of Aries is very forward, go-getting, determined and explorative, I would say. So another very interesting thing about the sign of Aries is that each of the zodiac signs also correspond to a stage in a human's life and a representative of that period. So given that Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, we can then assume that it is representative of the first stage of a human's life, and that stage is when they are kind of like 1 to 6 years old. And this doesn't mean that all people who are Aries are walking around like toddlers or anything like that. I'm sure there's some very mature Aries out there, but it does mean that their lives will be governed around certain themes that are also common in humans in that period. So for instance, we're looking at a lot of, energy. Small children have big bundles of energy, very open with their emotions as well. If a child or a toddler has a problem, like an emotional issue, everyone will know about it because they'll scream and they'll have a tantrum. So Aries are very direct and open with their feelings, I would say. So basically you've got the fact that they are symbolic of the child, I guess the inner child of humanity. And so although they may be prone to a few tantrums and be a bit of a handful at times, all you Aries individuals out there, it's actually very beautiful, because really when we look at the first stages of human life, we're talking about humanity in its purest, most undiluted form, which essentially is what children are. It's humanity but simplified, undiluted, and that's real and that's raw, and that's really the truth of who we are. So I think Aries is a wonderful sign. I mean, I'm the complete opposite myself. I'm a Pisces, so I'm the last 12th sign of the zodiac, which corresponds to basically the last stage of life when you're preparing for death, whereas Aries is all about the start of life. So Aries is very much the polar opposite sign to me, I would say. But I still find it fascinating, and I'm really open-minded to have different Aries show me what it means to be Aries, because I have no idea, but hopefully with this video I'm making some sense. So when it comes to the time of Aries that we're seeing now, it's the start of the spring equinox, as I've said in my past video, and really we can see the start of Aries reflected in the natural world as well. So Aries being represented by a sheep or a ram, and in the springtime that's when the lambs are born, and they're all cute and frolicking around with lots of energy, as I said. And just new things starting, new things beginning, and going out into the world, and colours blooming with great enthusiasm. And that is what I would use to describe the Aries personality. Just great enthusiasm, bursting forth, exploring the world, and just lighting up the world, I guess. Because after all, this is the start of the spring, so we're getting our light back. Just seeing if there's anything else I want to talk about. I suppose just to honour each of our inner Aries, because in zodiac terms we all have each of the signs within us, just in different places in our chart. So it might be worth looking up your birth chart and seeing where Aries falls for you, what area of your life it governs, and you can just be really aware of that at this time, and communicate with your fellow Arians, is that what you say? There are probably lots of birthdays coming up with Aries people, and just it's nice to remember the zodiac signs and what it means for the wheel of the year, and how we can see that reflected in the natural world, rather than astrology being this otherworldly thing that feels quite detached and distant, because we're talking about the stars, which are and planets which are miles away, we can look at astrology in terms of what we can really see on the ground, and what is really very real to us. Just with, as I said, the lambs, springtime, we've got the horned god coming in, those sorts of energies, and yeah, I'm just very excited because this is a very beautiful and exciting time, I think. So I think that's all I wanted to say. So thank you for watching my video. As I said, big shout out to all of my new subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much. Like, honestly, thank you so much. I'm really enjoying this. I'm gonna keep doing videos. Next one will probably be about the spring equinox. So I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.